Let me call to order this meeting of the West Palm Beach City Commission. Today is November 25th, 2024, and the time is 5:01 p.m. We will start this meeting off, as we do all of our meetings, with a moment of silence. Please keep in mind the families of the officers who were killed last week, as well as their colleagues at the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office who are also feeling that loss, and the families. Thank you. Moment of silence. Commissioner Warren, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
The flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let me remind everyone of the rules of civility and decorum which govern this body. Officials shall be recognized by the chair and shall not interrupt the speaker. Public comment shall be addressed to the City Commission as a whole and not to any individual on the dais or in the audience. Displays of anger, rudeness, ridicule, impatience, lack of respect, and personal attacks are strictly prohibited. Unauthorized remarks from the audience, stamping of feet, whistles, yells, and similar demonstrations shall not be permitted. Please govern yourselves accordingly, as offenders may be removed from the meeting. Also, any person wishing to speak shall complete a comment card for each agenda item the person wishes to address, and that card shall include the person's full name, address, and the numbered agenda item. It should be delivered to the clerk prior to that agenda being called, and if it is not completely completed, that person will not be recognized. Thank you. Madam City Administrator, are there any additions, deletions, reorganization of the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to point out two continuance. Item 8.3, which is second reading of two ordinances related to an amended lease between the city and the Marina and Waterview Towers. That item is being requested to be continued to a date certain of December 23rd, 2024, as well as item 9.2, which is a resolution related to a property at 180 Lakeview Avenue and 809 South Flagler Drive. That item is being requested for a continuance to December 9th of 2024, and the board needs to take action on those items when they come up.
Yes, very good. Thank you. We will now move on to the consent calendar, items 6.1 through 6.6. Commissioners, do you have any questions on any of the consent items? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of consent agenda as presented, items 6.1 through 6.6.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.1, resolution number 275-24, directing development of plans for use of the Floridian Aquifer as a city's water source and for development of a reverse osmosis membrane water treatment facility.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, and Administrator Johnson. Thank you. I'm Victor Carosi, the Utility Director for the City of West Palm Beach, and I have a brief presentation to go over tonight to tell you a little bit more about this resolution and where we would like to go with our water department. As you know, the providing water is very important to the city, and I know, Mayor, how important it has been to your administration with some great challenges that you had earlier on in your tenure here. With this, I'm actually happy to say we're going to be able to take it, we'll say, full circle as we now move forward into potentially a new area. So let me see if I get this going here for you. And Great. So before you tonight is a resolution. If accepted by the commission, we'll direct the development of plans and cost estimates to advance our city water supply and treatment for the continued reliability and safety of our drinking water. I last spoke about water to this commission earlier this year at a February 12th work session. Tonight, concepts introduced at that meeting are before you to advance toward the realization of a new water source and treatment method for the city. That presentation outlined 3 goals to improve the reliability of our water supply: optimizing source water for quantity and quality, leveraging water sources for drought tolerance, and diversity in supply through alternative water sources. We're focusing on this last point, diversity in supply through alternative water sources. The city now has permit in place from the South Florida Water Management District, permit 50-12547W, which authorizes the city an annual allocation of over 20 billion gallons of withdrawal from the Floridan aquifer. This permitted allocation of water is projected to meet our future demands to year 2073. The city, though, through its foresight of Henry Flagler, has relied upon signature lakes, Lake Mangonia and Clear Lake, as a reliable source for our residents and neighbors in the town. This history dates back to the 1890s with the construction of a water treatment facility at Banyan Boulevard and Australian Avenue. Of course, this plant's been expanded and improved with the addition of many new processes, filters, treatment tanks, and most recently, the addition of the UV, or ultraviolet treatment disinfectant system. With a nod to our history, you could see still some of that legacy of Mr. Flagler with one of the historic buildings on that site. With time and growth, our supply has also been expanded as city grew, adding Grassy Waters catchment area to supplement the lake waters, and the M Canal reaching all the way out to the L8 tieback canal 20 miles or so to our west. More recent improvements have fine-tuned our ability to manage and protect these sources, as well as some of the canals within our city, as needs may change. We now have the capacity to provide safe, clean drinking water to customers through 2035, meet our peak daily demands based on population growth models, current demand profiles, and treatment capacity. We do recognize, however, there's a certain dynamic to our supply in an ever-changing world that might challenge the current treatment methods we use. As a public supplier, we are legally obligated to meet the day-to-day needs of our customers without interruption. The city has historically experienced drought conditions that have resulted in water quality issues and use restrictions, testing our ability to adapt so the supply would not run dry. So while we have a strong supply and have shown the ability to adapt to maintain our flow to customers, we must look ahead to our next 100 years. Our obligation to provide drinking water necessitates that long-term planning so that future water needs are met. The city is the only public water supplier along the southern east coast that uses surface water as its primary source. To that end, we believe tapping into the Floridan aquifer for a new source of drinking water is in the best interests of the city. Over the past year, we've worked closely with the South Florida Water Management District and have recently, as I said, received that allocation. That will provide us water through 2073. That Floridan aquifer, though, is a deep underground water source with ample reserves to provide supply to the city now and into the future. Based upon its geology, it helps protect contaminants from known environmental pollutants. The only challenge with this aquifer is accessing it and treating it because it has some salinity content. And that's where I'd like to introduce very briefly the newer type of treatments that we vision for the city. And that is before you this slide here. It's a reverse osmosis type of treatment, which is a new type of treatment. It uses a series of membranes where water under high pressure is forced through very, very small membranes that actually are able to remove the salinity from the water. This membrane process also removes many, many other contaminants within the water. It's a semi-permeable membrane, and many treatment facilities in the area are using this type of technology now. With the use of the Floridan aquifer, we feel this is the right direction for the city to go. The growth and use of this filters for water systems is also, people might even see in your own home, underneath your own sink where you might have a reverse osmosis system. We're just doing it on a much, much larger scale. It's proven technology and scalable as our needs change. So with the resolution before you, the Commission is setting in motion the process for the study, data gathering, and analysis of our professional engineers to report reports and budgets in time to develop the fluoride and aquifer wells and treatment takes as necessary. It looks like my slide ended. But anyway, I'll come back to I would like to say that at this point, we will be continue to come back to the Commission, present findings, budgets, details, and all other items we'll come across as far as needing for our future. We feel that this is important treatment methods and source waters to ensure the city has a robust, resilient, safe, healthy drinking water system for the future. When comparing the challenges against the prospect of seasonal fluctuations, potential for toxins and other contaminants, and dependence on the weather, the Floridian aquifer is the appropriate direction for the city, assuring a reliable, environmentally sustainable, and economically feasible water supply for the future. With the City Commission's approval on this resolution, that will then set us going forward to reach out to the various consultants we may have and set those plans in motion. So I appreciate the time and available for any questions this Commission may have for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor, for that presentation, and let me ask, we are undertaking this action at this time, but we are doing that out of the strategy of being proactive and not reacting. We're not on the verge of a water shortage. We're not about to run out of water, but we are actually looking ahead several decades. And I just wanted to assure the public that we are taking these actions now because it takes time to implement these solutions, and we didn't want to wait. So, am I correct in stating that?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, that is exactly it. In our business, our planning schedules are very long, many, many years. So development of these plans takes a long time. 100% correct. We have no problems. Our water is safe to drink. We have plenty for now, for our future, at least until 2035, all our calculations. So there's no problems with our water. Everything is fine. We are just beginning to put the plans in place so that come the future, we are able to continue that same tradition.
Thank you. And as you develop these plans, you'll come back to this body and give us more detail as those plans are.
I vision several opportunities now and into the future for multiple reports on where we are, what we're doing, and our progress. This is a very large, very complex project. Will involve many different people and consultants. So I hope we'll continue to have this free and open conversation and opportunities to come and present our findings at key points along the way for your guidance.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Great,
Commissioners,
thank you.
any questions? Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much for the presentation, and I appreciate all that you're doing to ensure that we have safe drinking water. And I just want to, I know you said you'll be coming back to us with more details, but just in terms of the budget for what you're planning right now, I mean, you're talking about just the planning stages, but do we have this in the budget? Is there something we need to talk about in terms of the financial implications of this plan that we might not have thought about when we were planning for the next year's budget?
Sure.
Thanks.
So from a budget perspective, this is the very, very first step. Before we even reach out to the consultant community, we need to get the direction from the City Commission. The first part will be is a lower budget that was already accounted for in our normal accounting as far as consulting services. It's once we get that and we have the consultants be able to start laying out some idea and some concepts, they will start putting order of magnitude costs, at which time we'll have to come to the board for what type of impacts those costs could have upon any type of rates or any type of systems we might build. At this point, we are very, very premature as far as offering any forward look ahead, but this is our first step, is just to be able to get the direction and then bring you back further information.
Any other questions? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 275-24.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you again, Captain.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Commission.
Victor. Sorry. Okay. Item 8.1, Public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5116-24, adopting the amendments to Article 2 Building Code and Article 7 Floodplain Management of Chapter 18 of the City of West Palm Beach Code.
Yes, Mayor, pardon me, Mayor and Commissioners, this is ordinance number 511624. This is a second reading. There have been no changes since the first reading. Are there any questions?
Very good. Any questions? All right. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, move approval of ordinance number 5116-24 on November 25th, 2024.
Thank you. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5116-24, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, adopting the Federal Emergency Management Agency's 2024 flood insurance study and flood insurance rate map for Palm Beach County, including the City of West Palm Beach, amending the West Palm Beach Code of Ordinances to adopt changes to Chapter 18, Buildings and Building Regulations at Article 2 Building Code, Sections 1833, 1834, and 1835, to adopt technical amendments to the Florida Building Code and amendments to Article 7, Floodplain Management at Sections 18-281, 18282, 18284, 18289, 18292, 18293, 18295, and 18296 to comply with the flood insurance study, providing for codification, providing a severability clause and a conflicts clause, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 8.2, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5117-24, a city-initiated request for a text amendment to section 94-611, definitions of the zoning and land development regulations to remove or modify definitions relating to development in flood hazard areas. Mr. Wall.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, this is a second reading of ordinance number 5117-24. There have been no changes. Are there any questions?
Very good. Any questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 5117-24, amending Chapter 94, Zoning and Development Regulations, Article 19, Definitions. This motion is based upon the factual testimony presented, the staff report, the recommendation of the Planning Board, and the findings that the proposed amendment complies with all the amendment standards found in Section 94-32 of the city's zoning and land development regulations.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5117-24, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida at Chapter 94, Zoning and Land Development Regulations, Article 19, Section 94-611, definitions, to remove definitions of terms no longer applicable and to modify terms regarding floodplain management to comply with the Federal Emergency Management Agency's requirements, declaring this amendment to be consistent with the comprehensive plan of the city, providing a conflicts clause, a codification clause, and a severability clause, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioners, as the city administrator previously stated, item 8.3 is to be continued, and there is a recommended motion. Could I have a motion, please?
Mayor, I move to continue consideration of ordinance number 5119-24 to the commission meeting scheduled to begin at 5 p.m. on December 23rd, 2024 at the City of West Palm Beach City Hall Commission Chambers, 401 Clematis Street, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33401. And I move to continue consideration of ordinance number
We should probably do these separately, right?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay. So, to that motion, is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Commissioner Fox.
I move to continue consideration of ordinance number 5120-24 to the commission meeting scheduled to begin at 5 p.m. on December 23rd, 2024, at the City of West Palm Beach City Hall Commission Chambers, 401 Clematis Street, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33401.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved to second. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. All right, item 8.4, public hearing and first reading of ordinance number 5118-24, amending the Code of Ordinances at Chapter 2 to reflect the name change of the Office of Small and Minority Business Programs, and at Chapter 66 to amend the definition of small business, establish small business participation as requirement when set, increasing the maximum small business participation to 18% for construction and master contracts, and reorganizing and clarifying several provisions. Mr. Hayden.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. It's been a long time, Mr. Mayor, since I've been here, so I deeply apologize for that. Commissioners, Ms. Johnson, I got that part right. My name is Frank Hayden. I'm the Director of the Office of Small and Minority-Owned Business. And what we're here to talk to you about today in terms of this ordinance is to clarify some language that exists in here. And as soon as I find the right arrow buttons on this thing, we'll be ready to get started. It's a down. Oh, okay. So this is proposed changes to this ordinance. And as you all know, our objective is to spur the creation of small businesses and promote their success. And this city, under the mayor's leadership and you all as commissioners, have implemented a number of programs to assist our small businesses and minority-owned businesses in this city. And with that, this will just clarify some things. In terms of, first of all, the name. We had been going by the Office of Economic Opportunities, and we're going to change that to the Office of Small Minority Business Programs. We also are looking to increase the dollar thresholds for small businesses to participate. We're increasing under construction from 9 to 13 million, under goods and services and professional services from 5 up to 7 million. And I know when we talked to you all about this during the commission session, there was questions asked about how we came to these numbers. And aside from the fact that the county has increased their numbers, and as I mentioned to you then, we have been approached by small businesses to look at increasing these numbers. And what this will do when we increase it, it will expand the number of businesses who can participate in our program. And so with that in mind, we are recommending that occur. One of the other clarifications we want to do in this ordinance is, back in 2020, we came to you all and we asked you to increase the percentage. It was 15%. But we shared with you we had been exceeding that number of 15% participation by at least 18%, in some cases 20%. And you all agreed and increased that number to 18% participation. We never made that change in the language of the ordinance. And so now we are coming to you to clarify that aspect. The other piece that we're looking at is the level of participation for minority and small businesses, and that if we say that it is an 18% participation, we expect the primes to meet that objective. If they do not meet it, we have determined they will be deemed non-responsive. We will make a determination in terms of that, in terms of the best interest of the city, when we make that determination if they're disqualified from participating. The other issue is that if we do disqualify, as opposed to throwing them all out, we need a mechanism by which we can make a determination if the next low bidder meets all the qualifications for us to make that recommendation. And in this case, we're determining that their bid must be within a 15% of the as-read low bidder to be able to make that determination. That way we can continue on. We don't have to throw the bids out. And just lastly, this is for just information. As you know, we came to you all and talked to you about our disparity study that has expired and that we're going out again to get that done. We've taken a look at 2 contracts that we're looking to piggyback. One is through the Solid Waste Authority, the other is through the county. I'm leaning very heavily about using the one with the county because with the Solid Waste Authority, they have different requirements for the types of vendors that they're utilizing. With the county, we're all looking at the same vendors that we're going to use. So once legal has indicated to me that we can move ahead, then I'll get with the city administrator in terms of that, and we'll bring that contract back to you for us to be able to piggyback. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I will entertain any question that anyone has about these items that I've just shared with you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hayden, and thank you for all that you and your team do. Any comments, questions? Commissioner Warren?
Thank you. And I agree. I think it's a tremendous amount of work that your office has been doing. Positive movement that we've seen. I do have a question and also some logic. I do believe that it is important that we increase the thresholds because if the cost of goods is going up, the cost of labor has gone up, then it's only natural that their total revenue will go up, although the bottom line doesn't really change a whole lot. When we look at the small and minority businesses, do we see that the threshold maximum has been impacting or restricting minority-owned businesses that have been seeking to participate?
Oh, well, as you might know, our MBE program is not dictated by how much money you make. It is strictly determined what ethnic group you fit in. Now, in answer to that question, is it impacting small businesses? Yes. I'll give you a classic example. There is a firm, Wynn & Son, which has done a lot of business with the city. It's an outstanding firm. They've outgrown our program, but it would be great to have them back in the mix so they can continue to do work for us. So it is impacting some firms in that category, but for the minority and women-owned, it does not because dollars never was an issue with them.
Yes, follow up.
Thank you, Mayor. Another thing that I see, we often talk about the participation and the 15 and hopefully 18%. I don't see anywhere where we're asking and requiring that it's local participation. Does it say specifically that we're looking for them to have initiatives for local participation, or are we simply saying 18%?
Well, our SBEs are all within the city of West Palm Beach. So that is our local. Even when we use county firms, we ask them to get certified with us as well so we can count those dollars as it relates to the city of West Palm Beach. But we do not have any requirements that for local participation in our ordinance. It's by you being certified as a city of West Palm Beach SBE that we're able to dictate that those dollars are going to firms within the city.
Okay, thank you.
Follow up?
Yeah, no.
I see the city attorney looking down here. Did you have?
It was just simply that one of our criteria for small business, it just means one of the things that Frank's shop looks at is that they have to be domiciled in Palm Beach County. So that's within the county, but it could be outside of the city of West Palm Beach jurisdictional boundary. It's one of the criteria.
Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much for keeping us updated on all the things that we should be looking at. I think you're doing a great job, and I'm really excited to see the progress that we're making. I have a question that's a little bit different than some of the things that we've talked about tonight, but I'm working with a small business, to Best Barbecue, and we have been able to get a grant for them, which is, really exciting. But as a small business, they're currently paying rent to us on a space that they're renting from us, and also paying rent to a space that they will be moving into soon. And so we have a grant to help them kind of get moved in, but the grant requires them to actually just submit the receipts after they've already done all the purchasing. So, for many small businesses, I'm sure not just this one, it's very difficult to be, trying to reorganize a whole business and 2 properties, and trying to find the money to have to get the reimbursement for the grant rather than just giving the grant straight out. So I understand this is taxpayer dollars and we have to be good stewards, but I'm wondering if there's any other recommendations you have, or, I'm sure that this is not the first time you've heard a scenario like this. So, I'm curious if, I know that we work with some of the banks,
Yes.
and you have a lot of contacts there. I'm just wondering if there's any other recommendations, that we can try to make even that part of it a little bit easier for our small businesses to be successful. Thanks.
Yes, Commissioner, we have a relationship with BBIC, which is Black Business Investment Corporation. They have funding that they can make available to vendors that are grants, not loans. And most of our small businesses would rather not have loans because that increases their debt. We also, through Valley National Bank, have been able to work out some relationships with them so that they can work with our businesses as well. And you are absolutely right. Our grant program was an absolute success in terms of that. And as you know, when we first implemented it, we got a request of about $9 million, which says there's a need out there. And so we're doing everything we can to help those businesses in this city, but either connecting them with either Valley or BBIC or through some other sources that they'll be able to get the necessary revenue that they need.
Actually, Commissioner, the grant you're talking about was through the economic development arm of the city and not through Mr. Hayden's group. Any other Madam City Administrator?
Yes, just to Commissioner Fox about that specific business. I had a work session on Friday morning with Chris Rue, who is the Executive Director of the CRA, and we talked through a number of options that he is doing some additional due diligence on. He's out for the Thanksgiving holiday, and I would imagine that he and I will have a follow-up discussion when he gets back, and then we will elevate that to the mayor and then have individual briefings with the commissioners in your capacity as the CRA board.
Any other questions or comments on this presentation? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 5118-24 on first reading and schedule second reading on December 9th, 2024.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5118-24, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances at Chapter 2, Administration, Division 1, Mayor's Office, to reflect the name change of the Office of Small and Minority Business Programs, further amending the Code of Ordinances at Chapter 66, Procurement, Article 9, Small Business Program to reflect the office name, amending the definition of small business, establishing small business participation as required when a participation level is established, increasing the maximum small business participation to 18% for construction and master contracts under the program, and reorganizing and clarifying several provisions, providing a conflicts clause, a codification clause, and a severability clause, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Item 8.5, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5112-24 for a future land use, FLU, map amendment to change the FLU designation of an approximately 9.897 acre tract located at 1101 South Flagler Drive from the existing Community Services, CS, FLU designation to multifamily, MF, FLU designation.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Commission. Luis Citini, Senior Planner, Planning Zone Division, for the record. This is a second reading, and there has been no change since the first reading.
Very good, thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 5112-24, changing the future land use designation of plus or minus 9.897 acres of land located at 1101 South Flagler Drive from Community Service CS to multifamily MF, future land use designation. This motion is based upon the application submitted, the staff report, factual testimony, the recommendation of the Planning Board, and the findings that the amendment complies with the provisions of Chapter 163 Florida statutes in the Florida Administrative Code, FAC, and is in accordance with the city's comprehensive plan. Additionally, the proposed amendment meets the future land use, FLU, amendment justification standards found in Florida Land Use Element Policy 1.15 and 1.16, 1.1.5 and 1.1.6 of the city's comprehensive plan based on the changed assumptions and the applicable provisions of Section 94-33 of the Land Development Regulations.
It's been
Second.
moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, moved to second. And actually, I failed. So we do have one card, and I failed to call that person. So before we go to a vote, let me call Michael Zeff.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Michael Zeff. I'm the President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of the Palm Beaches, and I would like to reiterate our Chamber's support of this project here before you this evening, and we encourage you to support it as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, we've had a motion, it's been seconded. Any other discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5112-24, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, by changing the future land use designation of an approximately 9.897 acre parcel, generally located at 1101 South Flagler Drive, from community service to a multifamily future land use designation, declaring the proposed amendment to the future land use map to be consistent with the comprehensive plan of the City of West Palm Beach, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll now turn to the quasi-judicial portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I will need you to make your disclosures, and we will start with Commissioner Fox.
As to item 9.1, I have had ex parte communications with the applicant. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Commissioner Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. As to item 9.1, I have had ex parte communications with the applicant and the applicant's representative. I have not received written communications, not conducted an investigation, not made a site visit, not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Commissioner Baduzzi.
Thank you, Mayor. As to item 9.1, I have had ex parte communications with the applicant and with the applicant's representatives. I have not received written communication. I have not conducted an investigation. I have made a site visit. I have not received any expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made a part of the record.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you swear in all witnesses, please?
Would everyone wishing to speak on item 9.1 please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, item 9.1, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5113-24 regarding a termination of the First Baptist Church Community Service Plan Development, CSPD, located generally at 1101 South Flagler Drive, amending the zoning map of the city of West Palm Beach to rezone the approximately 9.897 acre former family church site from Community Service Plan Development, CSPD, to Community Service, CS zoning designation. And public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5114-24 regarding a rezoning of plus or minus 9.897 acres located generally at 1101 South Flagler Drive from Community Service, CS, to multifamily high density, MF32, zoning designation, with a further rezoning to a residential plan development, RPD, and resolution number 225-24 regarding the establishment of the development regulations and conditions for the residential plan development, RPD, and the granting of waivers from the zoning and land development regulations.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Luis Cetina again, for the record, Senior Planner, City of West Palm Beach Planning and Zoning Division. So this is a second reading of ordinance number 5113-24 and ordinance number 5114-24, and there are no changes since the first reading. The applicant presented resolution number 225-24 at first reading, and they can make a quick presentation tonight. Thank you.
Okay, very good.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Tyler Woolsey with Urban Design Studio on behalf of the applicant team, and I promise it will be a brief presentation. As you have seen this before, there are a few things we want to touch on. As you all know, I think we're all very familiar with Family Church at this point, a long-standing landmark in our community, not only physically on Flagler Drive corridor, but also in everyone's hearts and minds and the work that they've done through the community. They've been in this location and established in our community since 1901, and this project really is about continuing that legacy for another century here in downtown West Palm Beach. To provide a little context, the site is located just south of the downtown, and to give you a little bit more context, here you see an aerial image of the current status of the property. Large surface parking lot, what looks to be, a single-story office building down in the southeast corner is actually structured parking there, single-story, and the church with the worship hall and school you see on the north half of the site. Here you see some images of that existing parking lot. In the upper left-hand side, you see the Forte building, Flagler Residential, it's being capped off. And on the right-hand side of your screen, you see in blue there all the existing structures to be demolished other than the historic worship sanctuary that is to be remained and renovated with this project. So here tonight, as you just heard, we just went through our second reading for a future land use from community service to multifamily. We're now looking at ordinance to terminate the First Baptist CSPD, which is just the existing zoning structure for the site. We're looking to rezone to MF32 with the further rezoning to an RPD to create the new zoning structure for the site. And our final request is for a formal site plan review with several waivers to show you what we're looking to develop. I'll skip through the future land use as we just tackled that. Here you see the existing CSPD that we're looking to terminate. Again, this is just the existing zoning structure of the site. And here you see that CSPD reflected on your zoning map being modified as proposed to the residential plan development, consistent with adjacent properties to our east and to our south. One element of our request to rezone to the RPD comes along with a waiver for the minimum size. Your code stipulates a minimum of 10 acres for an RPD. Having worked in the city for a little while now, there are no 10-acre parcels east of 95 to qualify here. And so all of our cohort and peer groups have come through for this. And as you see, we're requesting a very minimal reduction compared to the peer group. So your staff agrees that we do comply with all your rezoning standards. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about the development program, get into some of the fun stuff for the project. The project overall is a mixed-use project involving the renovated sanctuary, new worship spaces for Family Church, along with new campus for Palm Beach Christian Academy, along with their accessory daycare program that is to remain. The south side of the project will involve 190 multifamily residential units in 2 towers. a 5,400 square foot restaurant on the Flagler waterfront, providing some very valuable and much needed waterfront dining for us, and 2 structured parking garages providing over 1,000 spaces for the uses proposed on the site, increasing by more than 500 from what's there today. Here you see some of the programming for the north half of the site, the Family Church Palm Beach Christian Academy campus. As mentioned, the renovated historic sanctuary, new worship hall and school that will be integrated in a 4-story structure on the west side of the existing worship hall. It's about 150,000 square feet of worship areas, office spaces, and classrooms. Palm Beach Christian Academy as an accessory use of a daycare, which, as we talked about in the last couple of hearings, is a very critical component of this because this is the only operation serving newborn to pre-K proximate to downtown. And so this is an extremely valuable service that has been taken advantage of by many in our community, and we hope to continue to expand with this project. This project also includes new playgrounds and, as mentioned, structured parking for the church dedicated with more than 500 spaces. Here you see a conceptual site plan of that north half of the project. And I do want to take one moment to speak to the stacking analysis. I know Commissioners Lambert and Ward aren't with us tonight, but at first reading they did ask the question for us to duly confirm and verify our stacking analysis. I do want to show you here, there are a few key components that make this successful. The biggest by far is the manned operation by school staff. Having school staff both at the primary entrance and having 5 service positions at the drop-off pickup area are going to result in an extremely efficient operation. We have 35 plus vehicle queue storage positions before you even get to those 5 service positions. So you can fit 40 cars in a conservative estimate on site, likely far more. And in this situation, what we're able to do, again, using a very conservative estimate within our analysis, we expect 1 minute of service time per vehicle. In providing 5 service spaces, we're able to cycle more than 300 vehicles, which is far more than what we're expecting as the maximum at peak hour. Per our analysis, we're showing just under 200 spaces during the morning drop-off, which is the maximum assumption. With the 5 stacking positions, we are able to service 5 cars per minute. That 200 car expectation at peak is only 3.3 cars per minute. So even in the maximum peak assumed within the analysis, we're still able to serve almost 2 cars more than what we're expecting at max demand. And I will say that this information is laid out within our traffic analysis. It's been duly reviewed by your staff here at the city, as well as a third-party reviewer at Bowman Consulting, and they all agree on that analysis. Here you see rendering from, this is Olive looking east into the new worship hall, or rather school courtyard. Here you see an image from the north parking lot. This actually here under the canopy where you see Family Church, that is the drop-off and pickup circulation point. You see the new 4-story office and school, as well as the existing worship hall. Here we take you to the middle of the site where we just entered into a central private drive lane from Olive. On the left-hand side, you see the church and school building connected via Sky Bridge to their parking structure on the south side of this private road, and you start to see the residential tower in the background there. So speaking to that residential tower, the programming on the south side of the site is looking at 190 dwelling units. I will mention under the future land use that you just approved, the site could request up to 309 dwelling units, and so we're far below the maximum residential density here. Again, this is about making the best project for Family Church and for the city, not fitting as many units as possible. So this residential product sits atop a 5-story podium, north tower being 27 stories, 23 stories to the south tower. Now I'll point out that northern tower, the tallest point of the project, is fit well into the center of the project in order to help reduce that massing and that scale as felt from the surrounding properties. As mentioned, we're going to have a restaurant at the Flagler waterfront and amenities atop the podiums. Here you see that conceptual plan laid out there, and I'll speak to those tower positions more in just a moment. Here you see a rendering of the Flagler waterfront restaurant that gets created, and I will point out here towards the left-hand side of the screen, you see a decent amount of vegetation. This is within the 70-plus foot setback that we've provided along Flagler to further the city's goal of the Flagler Green Corridor. Now I will get into some of the technical elements, but I promise I'll continue to breeze through. So the first waiver I had already mentioned is the request for a reduction in acreage. We are far less than the reduction requested and granted to our peer group for adjacent projects, including the Bristol, Forte, Flagler House, and La Clara, immediately adjacent on this corridor. The next waiver I'll speak to is building height and setbacks, and really I think it's easiest to see this on the graphics. I will point out we have several individual requests as part of this setback request because the south property line jogs in this kind of unique fashion, and we end up with essentially 3 south property lines and 2 west property lines, if you will. And so here you see in red a couple of the points where we're requesting that reduction in setback. And then complemented by that, you see there in the blue where we're showing you the significant setbacks to the towers, the taller elements of the project. And so while we are requesting setbacks for portions, specifically on the south side, where we are immediately adjacent to a large tower on the Forte project, we are increasing and significantly stepping the height back into the center of the project for folks from the east and west. By doing that, we were able to create just over an acre of public greenway along the Flagler corridor, minimum setback of 70 feet up to almost 95 feet adjacent to the church worship hall. 3 sets of waivers speaking to access that I'll run through quickly and together. We are requesting an waiver for the number of access positions. Although we are keeping the same number that exists today, we're essentially flipping 4 access points from Flagler and 3 on Olive to 4 on Olive and 3 on Flagler. And I'll show you in a comparison here what that looks like and how that impacts the property. So on the north side, you see there are 2 existing access points. Those will remain. That's a northern private drive lane. That drive lane is gated for use of the school. On Flagler, as you move down the corridor, you see very closely there's another curb cut there into their parking lot. We're removing that curb cut in order to maintain maximum landscaping and public space along that Flagler corridor. As you move to Central on the site, continue moving south, you see in the existing conditions there are generally 2 access points that could create a connection from Chadbourne, what was Chadbourne Court, which was abandoned last hearing, across to Flagler. Although we are requesting to eliminate those drives, we are proposing the private drive lane that I spoke to, which will create public access through the site from South Olive to South Flagler. Now, one thing I will point out with the abandonment of Chadbourne Court that was approved on first reading, the significant dollar contribution that came along with that, as well as the developer replacing this cross connection, improving it with a private road that will be maintained on their dime. The last 2 positions for access are here on Olive, directly into the parking garage. These are limited access positions in which the southernmost access is serving exclusively service and loading operations, which are completely internalized within that garage, so there'll be minimal traffic into there. And then the northern driveway here is actually for church use, and so there will be limited use of that garage. It will not be considerable daily use. And I will point out, as we speak to driveway separation, we do have a request to reduce our driveway separation from 120 feet down to 5.5 feet in the most intense condition, which is, as mentioned, an existing condition for that northern drive lane. The other area where those driveway separation requirements come up is here into our Olive garage. You see there is what's shown as a 21-foot separation. This drive is actually designed to function as one single service entry, or one single entry with an expanded pedestrian refuge, landscape pedestrian refuge there in the center. And then you see that this southern drive, this limited access service drive, also is 46 feet from the southern parking lot access for Memorial Presbyterian Church, of which we have a letter of support today. The final waivers that I'll speak to you about are the daycare and playground setback. The daycare and playground setback specific use regulations in the code really are set up more for suburban style of schools. Obviously, this is a very urban school campus, and so recognizing that there is a significant need to protect playgrounds, part of the reason we're requesting this is because of the technical nature of the definition of the setback and the use regulations. So I do want to point out that while the setback is measured from our property line, which is at the back of the curb, to our playground area, and that is only 10 feet, we are providing more than 24 feet of actual separation from the back of curb on Olive. where we have a 6-foot landscape barrier, along with pedestrian and street furniture here, an 8-foot sidewalk, and then 10 feet of additional landscape, which are planted with hedges, shrubs, and trees before a 5-foot protective wall, which creates a barrier for the playgrounds. All of these waivers have been reviewed by your staff. They believe it, and we agree, we comply with all criteria. As part of the approval of waivers for an RPD, we are required to provide innovative land planning and development techniques, of which I think there are many on this project. We list several of those here with respect to preserving the legacy of Family Church here in downtown, providing that expanded Flagler green corridor, implementing infill redevelopment to reduce surface parking lots and improve the highest and best use of this site, utilizing four-sided architecture so there is no true back of house. Any way you look at this property is attractive. Integrating the parking structure and internalizing all back of house operations and maintaining circulation both through and around the property. The community benefits are extensive. I've spoken to them through this project and through previous hearings, so I won't labor on this point. We have completed community outreach. We do have support from our neighbors to the south, Memorial Presbyterian, as well as Palm Beach Atlantic University, which surrounds the site. Staff is making a recommendation of approval. We are in agreement with all conditions proposed by staff. The City Planning Board granted unanimous vote of approval, as did this board on first reading, and we're here to ask for your approval on second reading. Here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant before we turn to staff? I would like to say that I did have a very productive meeting with Pastor Scroggins to talk about the scholarship opportunities. I learned that Family Church operates a number of schools in the county, and the thinking is that they will enhance the scholarship opportunities in some of those other sites which are closer to where folks who might benefit from the scholarship program, closer to where they live. And so that was fine with me. And I understand also that those other sites have the identical curriculum, same quality of instructors that are at this downtown site. So I'm very comfortable with the approach that the school is taking to address that concern. I also raised the prospect of meeting certain percentages with respect to small and minority businesses, which they've also agreed to do. And no, that's not a condition to this approval. It's just I wanted to update people on conversations that I have had. Any other questions or comments? We don't have any cards, so hearing none, I will.
Mayor, comment?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You're so far down there.
No problem. This is such an exciting project, and unfortunately I was not here on first reading to see your presentation, and it just confirms in my mind how important this project is to that area, how many additional opportunities will be afforded to our residents, to the members of the church, to the kids who go to school there. Family Church is really expanding. As I understand, they're up to 17 neighborhood churches now. We have a couple of them right here in the city of West Palm Beach. They do tremendous work. I'm happy to hear, Mayor, that you spoke with Pastor Jimmy, and I know that they plan on having plenty of scholarship opportunities, and they really agree with our mission of making sure that there's opportunity for everyone in every sector of our county. And I love the fact that there's going to be an increased amount of green space. Right now, there's a lot of surface concrete. It's a big parking lot that had some good uses. I mean, they've held some community events and things in that area, but there's going to be a lot of green space, which is going to be great. And I know that our constituents will appreciate. And then the additional public access, and I appreciate that they have allowed for that public access, that through access through the property that before really they had to trespass to get through. So I appreciate that. And that's all I have.
Thank you. And I did Before we take the motions, I wanted to hear from staff.
Again, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. The applicant did a very adequate presentation, therefore, without any further ado, staff recommends the approval for all the 7 waivers, including the development regulations, therefore has no issues, and recommends the approval subject to the conditions for the record.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any questions for staff? All right, if there are no other questions, then I will certainly entertain a number of motions.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 5113-24, terminating the First Baptist Church Community Service Plan Development, CSPD, governed by Resolution number 251-13, and amending the zoning map of the city of West Palm Beach to rezone the former First Baptist Church development from Community Service Plan Development, CSPD, zoning designation to Community Service CS zoning designation. This motion is based upon the application submitted, the staff report, the factual testimony, the recommendation of the planning board, and the findings that the amendment complies with the comprehensive plan of the city of West Palm Beach and the provisions of Chapter 94 of the city's zoning and land development regulations, ZLDR.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance 5113-24, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, terminating the First Baptist Church Community Service Plan Development governed by Resolution number 251-13, generally located at 1101 South Flagler Drive, and amending the zoning map of the City of West Palm Beach to rezone the approximately 9.897 acre former First Baptist Church site from Community Service Plan Development to Community Service Zoning Designation, declaring this zoning map amendment to be consistent with the City of West Palm Beach Comprehensive Plan, revising the zoning map of the city accordingly, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Commissioner Peduzzi?
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 5114-24 to change the zoning designation of plus or minus 9.897 acres located at 1101 South Flagler Drive from Community Service CS to multifamily high-density MF32 zoning designation with a further rezoning to Residential Plan Development RPD zoning designation with an acreage waiver to create the Family Church of West Palm Beach Residential Plan Development RPD. This motion is based upon the application submitted, the staff report, factual testimony, the recommendation of the planning board, and the findings that the request complies with the comprehensive plan and the standards in sections 94-32, 94-35C, 94-204, and 94-207 of the city's zoning and land development regulations.
Thank you. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5114-24, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending the zoning map of the City of West Palm Beach by rezoning an approximately 9.897 acre parcel generally located at 1101 South Flagler Drive from Community Service Zoning Designation to Multifamily High-Density Zoning Designation with a further rezone to a Residential Plan Development Zoning designation with an acreage waiver to create the redevelopment of the Family Church Residential Plan Development, providing for the establishment of development regulations by separate resolution, declaring this zoning map amendment to be consistent with the comprehensive plan of the city, revising the zoning map of the city accordingly, providing a conflicts clause, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Commissioner Peduzzi?
Mayor, I move approval of Resolution 225-24, establishing the development regulations and waivers for the redevelopment of the Family Church Residential Plan Development, RPD, which consists of the Family Church campus with school and accessory daycare use, 2 multifamily residential towers with commercial use, and 2 parking garages. This motion is based upon the application submitted, the staff report, the factual testimony, the recommendations of the planning board, and the findings that the request complies with the comprehensive plan and the standards in section 94-32, 94-35C, 94-204, and 94-207 of the city zoning and land development regulations.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, we need to turn to item 9.2 because we need to make I need a motion to continue that item. I'll read it into the record. Resolution number 229-24, approving the replat of approximately 2.38 acres, 103,758 square feet of real property generally located at 180 Lakeview Avenue and 809 South Flagler Drive, as is associated with the One Flagler office and First Church of Christ Scientist Developments. Commissioner, we have been asked to continue that, so I will need a motion to that effect.
Mayor, I move to continue consideration of resolution number 229-24 to the commission meeting scheduled to begin at 5 p.m. on December 9th, 2024 at the City of West Palm Beach City Hall Commission Chambers, 401 Clematis Street, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33401.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll turn to comments from the public, and we have a card. Michael Cleveland.
Good evening, Michael Cleveland, West Palm. Nice run meeting, Mayor. Informative and quick, swift. I want to speak very briefly about some issues around the city. A couple of weeks ago, at City Commission meeting, it was a request for approval to do some roofing work at the Pleasant City Multicultural Center. And I alluded to the fact that there had been work done there several times over the last, I guess, 10 years. I took it upon myself last week to go by and just check on the structure. And so I'm going to make a request. I'm making a request that the city have staff to go by and do some inspection on that structure because there are some serious problems that I find in the structure. It's very old. I think maybe somewhere around 1998, 2000, it was renovated extensively. But there again, it was an old building, so it's having some more issues. And I would ask that, the city direct staff to go take a look at it. Also, several years ago, I mentioned the Fire Station 1 landscaping around there. It looks very bad, been looking like that for years. They told me at that time they had something on the table that was going to correct that problem. Since that time, it's been at least 6 years. Nothing has occurred. That's right in downtown West Palm Beach. I think you should try and make it look more presentable than what it is, if you like. On 25th Street, between Chairman Avenue and CSX Road track, the landscaping there, I'm not sure if the city takes care of that or if it's up to the train station, the rail people do it, but it's overgrown, it looks ridiculous. It's one of the entryway to the city, a lot of construction going on up that way now. So I would ask the city code enforcement to look into that. Don't eat too much turkey, enjoy yourself and be safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was the only card we had, so we'll now turn to comments from the dais, and we'll begin with you, Commissioner Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to ask everyone to remember the families of the fallen soldiers in their prayers and send up a special prayer for them. And I am just very thankful for each and every one of you. I give tremendous thanks that I have the opportunity to work alongside of you, to work with you, to collaborate. have wonderful conversations with the Madam Administrator. It's just really a privilege to be here. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve this city, and I am particularly grateful for the confidence of the people of the city of West Palm Beach to continue to serve this day in the city. Thank you.
Commissioner Fox?
Thank you, Mayor. I did want to start by saying congratulations to Commissioner Warren and Commissioner Peduzzi on their recent reelection without opposition. It really says a lot that you all would be continuing without anyone in the city even thinking about challenging you, because you're doing such an amazing job. And I am so thankful that you both will be continuing to serve for the next 2 years, and looking forward to it. I wanted to say a huge thank you to the fire department. I see members of our fire department here today. Unfortunately, on Saturday morning, I woke up and I went outside to walk the dog. Many of you know that I live in a townhouse downtown. I looked out next door, and my neighbor had water coming, draining out of their garage. And so I ran to the front of the house, and it was also coming out of the front door. And I knew the neighbor was not in town. So I called 911, and within a few minutes, they were at his front door trying to knock it down. And it was our friend Jason French, of all people. He happened to be on duty that day. So it is, you never want to have to call 911, but if you need to, they are there, and they are there quickly, and they do a great job. I was standing outside just waiting to see what was going to happen. Then they finally got the door open. It was sort of like Niagara Falls inside. It was, a pipe had burst. Had they not gotten there so quickly, I'm sure it would have gotten into my house. But the most important thing was, a few minutes later, one of the firefighters came out with a cat. I didn't even know that my neighbor had a cat, but so it was sitting on a bed upstairs and was able to be rescued. So just a huge thank you to our fire department. We don't always hear about these kind of animals that are saved and people's homes that are saved. You don't hear about all the things, the great things that are happening because of our public service and our public safety team. So thank you very much for always being there. Other than that, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and I hope that you all have a safe and happy time with your family. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Baduzzi?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll agree that Jason and all of our firefighters are just so wonderful, and that you call 911 and they're right there doing whatever they have to do, whether it's a fire or it's too much water. I mean, they're there to help us, and they do such a great job. So kudos to our fire department. I'd like to also just take a moment to recognize the 3 sheriff's deputies who were killed in the line of duty this past week. Just such a tragedy, and I just want their family members to know that they remain in my prayers, and I know that my colleagues here feel the same way, that you just never know when you're in public safety whether you're going to be called to make that ultimate sacrifice, and these gentlemen were. And we just have to be grateful for the sacrifice that they made for us, and so thank you. Other than that, I too, with Thanksgiving a couple days away here, I too am thankful to be serving on this commission with my colleagues, with the mayor, with my fellow commissioners, with our administration, with the heads of all the departments, and with all the people that serve the city of West Palm Beach. You guys really make it hard to not run for re-election. I mean, I've considered, everyone up here has heard me say, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it for another 2 years, and then I end out doing it. And it's because of the people I serve with. I couldn't ask for a finer group of individuals, both here on this dais and who work for the city. It keeps me coming back, and it makes my job here so much easier. It almost doesn't feel like work, because I'm serving alongside such wonderful people, and we're all in it for what's best for our citizens, and I thank you all for that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will start my comments off by congratulating Commissioner Warren and Commissioner Peduzzi, also congratulating you for re-election without opposition. It's a testament to your capabilities and performance as city commissioners, and thank you for the work that you do and will continue to do on behalf of the citizens of this great city. I had issued a public statement regarding the deceased sheriff's deputies, which we posted on our website, and which I will continue to stand by. As you said, Commissioner Baduzzi, they did pay the ultimate sacrifice, and I'm sure when they got up that morning and put on their uniforms and went to their jobs, the mission of providing safety for our citizens, they had every expectation of returning home after their shift, and unfortunately they did not, and so their families, thoughts and prayers go to their families, as well as to the PBSO family. I am pleased to announce that the city has been asked to host the December Board of Trustees meeting for the African American Mayors Association. That organization exclusively represents African American mayors in the United States. I'm not on the board, but the chair of the board reached out and asked if West Palm Beach would be willing to host this meeting. So apparently our city is garnering attention from those far and wide in this country. So with the help of many, but primarily City Administrator Faye Johnson, we put together a dynamic two-day program that will highlight our city's tremendous and inclusive growth. So a number of events that will be going on, and so we're looking forward to that happening. We're proud to host this distinguished group of leaders and to showcase the remarkable and purposeful growth taking place in our great city. We, the members of this dais and our staff, have a lot to be proud of, and I think we got a great story to tell, and we're going to tell it, a portion of the story. Special thanks to our sponsors, FPL, Related Ross, and the Frisbee Group for providing sponsorships to help us pull this off. Please join us for the 33rd Annual Share a Supper tomorrow evening. This will be a special event to bring the Pleasant City community together for a delicious Thanksgiving meal. The event is made possible thanks to the generosity of the West Palm Beach and local business community. It will be held from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Pleasant City Community Center at 500 22nd Street. Shop small and support local on Small Business Saturday in Northwood Village on Saturday, November 30th from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. There will be a full day of shopping, giveaways, and a live DJ on Northwood Road, and it's the perfect way to kick off the holiday season. And the most perfect way to kick off holiday season will be when we light up Sandy. The Holiday in Paradise Sandy tree lighting will take place on Thursday, December 5th at the Great Lawn from 6 to 10 p.m. Experience the world's only 35-foot, 700-ton sand tree, Sandy, and Ferris, a 50-foot Ferris wheel. Embrace the festive spirit and create cherished memories at this remarkable evening. And on the next day, at Heart and Soul Park, the CRA will be conducting its Winter in Paradise. That's Friday, December 6th from 5 to 9 p.m. This family-friendly event will take place at Heart and Soul Park, located at 825 North Rosemary Avenue. Enjoy free food, live music, a holiday lighting ceremony, and information regarding the CRA's various redevelopment projects. And so I too want to extend a heartwarming wish to all for a happy Thanksgiving on Thursday. And I hope that each of us, and I know you have the pressures of preparing the meals and for family. But I hope each and every one of us takes a moment during that day and focus on all that we all have to be thankful for, whether it's big or small blessings. And if you are able to wake up that morning on Thanksgiving, that in and of itself is something to be thankful for. But remember that day should continue to be a moment to reflect upon the blessings in your life. City Hall will be closed on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, and the following day, Friday. So November 28th and 29th, City Hall and the library will be closed on those 2 days. There will be some changes to the trash collection schedule, including a one-day delay for trash and bulk services for residential and commercial areas on November 28th, and adjusted schedule for November 29th. So that concludes my remarks. Everyone, be safe and be thankful. God bless you. God bless the great city of West Palm Beach. This meeting is adjourned. Good night.